Claire held the cream-colored envelope in her hand like it might burn her. It wasn't heavy because of the paper. It was heavy because of what it represented. The return address read James Baldwin, family attorney. James had known her since she was a kid. He'd handled every prenuptial agreement for her sisters, every family donation, every PR disaster with a smile. Claire? She was just the daughter everyone tolerated. She didn't even need to open the envelope to know what it was. Her grandfather, Mr. Harold Emerson, had passed away 3 weeks ago. And now the family had planned a remembrance weekend. But Claire knew better. It wasn't really about honoring Grandpa. It was about dividing what he left behind. Where are you watching from today? Kindly hit like, comment and subscribe to this channel for more. Her phone buzzed. A message from her cousin Ava. Another screenshot from the sisters-only group chat Claire was always excluded from. Joanne, can't wait to see everyone this weekend. Hope someone reminds Claire it's not a casual brunch. Lydia, oh, did you see what she wore to the funeral? That vintage dress looked like it came from a thrift store. Mom, girls be nice. She's trying her best. Claire ran her finger along the envelope's seal. They had no idea. The last time she saw Grandpa Harold, he had been in hospice, barely able to move. But when he saw her, his eyes lit up. Come here, my little fighter, he whispered. They won't see it coming. Back then she thought it was just the medication talking. Now she wasn't so sure. The doorbell rang. Claire opened it to find a courier holding a second envelope. This one was smaller, labeled clearly in handwriting she recognized as James Baldwin's. Sign here please, the courier said. Mr. Baldwin gave strict instructions on the delivery time. Claire signed, her hands slightly shaking. Did he say anything else? Only that you'd know when to open it. She closed the door slowly, staring at the 2 envelopes on the counter. Her phone buzzed again. Ava was calling. They're all here already, Ava said without greeting. Your mom is hosting a pre-reading champagne toast. Claire snorted. Let me guess, I wasn't invited. Nope. Joanne's showing off some fancy new tennis bracelet. Says it's an early inheritance gift from your mom. Claire sat down at her kitchen counter and laid out the 2 envelopes. What else? She asked. Ava sighed. Lydia's been practicing her grateful tears. Said she's filming the reading for her Instagram stories. Claire shook her head. Let me guess. They've already decided who gets what. Exactly, Ava said. They're sure you'll get the legal minimum just so you won't contest the will. Perfect, Claire said quietly, tracing the embossed edge of Grandpa's invitation. That's exactly what I want them to think. What are you planning? Nothing they'll expect. Claire stood and walked toward her closet. I need to find something appropriately disappointing to wear. Claire, Ava said softly, do you remember that Christmas when Aunt Martha announced your sister's engagements all at once? Claire let out a dry laugh. You mean when Mom told everyone I was finding myself, while Joanne and Lydia flashed their rings like royalty? No. I mean when you left early and Grandpa followed you out to the parking lot. Claire paused, hand on a coat hanger. He told me sometimes the best revenge is letting people think they've won. And he said he was proud of me for never pretending. Yeah, Ava whispered. He always saw you. There was a pause. Then Ava added, the reading's at 3 p.m. tomorrow. Don't be late. I wouldn't miss it for the world, Claire replied, finally pulling out a dress. Black, simple and completely her own. Claire placed the sealed envelope from James carefully into her bag, then checked her phone again. A new message from her mother popped up. Mom, please wear something appropriate tomorrow. There will be a photographer. Claire rolled her eyes. Of course there would be. Heaven forbid they split an inheritance without perfectly posed pictures for the country club newsletter. She picked up the second envelope, the one marked to be opened after the reading. It felt heavier than it looked. Grandpa Harold had always been good at planning surprises. The man who taught her how to play chess while her sisters took ballet classes. He always thought 3 moves ahead. Claire had a feeling this final move of his would be unforgettable. Just then another text came through, this time from Lydia. Or at least it was meant for the sister group chat but sent directly to Claire by mistake. Lydia, can you believe she's actually coming? After all the time she embarrassed us. Claire smirked and walked over to her desk. She pulled open a drawer and took out a thick manila folder. Inside it were years' worth of screenshots, bank transfers, voice messages, and receipts. 15 years of being treated like a footnote had turned her into the family's best historian. Every unpaid loan, every snide comment, every accidental exclusion, she had it all. "Oh, I'm coming," Claire said out loud to her empty apartment. "And I'm bringing proof." She turned back to her closet and pushed aside the designer hand-me-downs her sisters had given her over the years. Pity gifts wrapped in labels. Behind them a dress hung untouched. But, trinket, elegantly simple, and entirely her own. She ran her hand over the fabric. "This will do," she whispered. "Let them laugh. I'm not here to impress anyone. I'm here to change the game." Tomorrow she wouldn't be the overlooked daughter. She would be the unexpected storm in their perfect weather. The next day, Claire arrived at the family mansion 15 minutes late. Not by accident, by design. She stepped into the marble foyer just as champagne glasses were clinking. Through the large windows she could see Joanne near the pool, surrounded by guests. Her new tennis bracelet sparkled under the afternoon sun. "Oh, you made it," her mother said with a tone that sounded more like a scolding than a greeting. She gave Claire a quick air kiss, careful not to mess up her lipstick. "Everyone's already here," she added. "I noticed," Claire replied, glancing at the champagne in their hands. "Started without me?" "Well, we weren't sure you'd come," her mother said, smoothing her dress. "You know how you are with family obligations." Before Claire could reply, Lydia's voice floated over. "Look who finally decided to show up." She walked over in a blush pink designer gown that screamed expensive and unnecessary. "We were just talking about Grandpa's diamonds," Lydia added. "Remember the necklace he promised me?" Claire tilted her head. "Which one? The one you claimed he gave you, or the one you actually pawned last year?" Lydia's smile faltered. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Of course not," Claire said calmly, reaching for a glass of champagne. "Just like you didn't know where that loan I gave you for Randolph's gambling debt went." Lydia hissed, "Keep your voice down. This isn't the time or place." "Is it ever?" Claire muttered. Thankfully, Ava appeared beside her just in time. "Come on," she whispered. "Let me show you the new garden room." Claire allowed Ava to guide her through the tall French doors into the freshly renovated garden room. It smelled like lilies and lemon polish. The walls were lined with family photos, smiling faces pretending they'd always gotten along. "You're supposed to be playing nice," Ava whispered. Claire laughed under her breath. "Why should I? They're already talking about selling Grandpa's summer house. Joanne's calling realtors like it's hers." Ava grimaced. "They think it's all settled. Just like they thought it was settled when Mom used my college fund for Joanne's wedding," Claire replied. 10 years later and I'm still paying student loans." She stopped in front of a photo from Christmas 2015. Everyone looked happy. But Claire remembered that year well. She'd been too busy to attend, according to her mother's lie, when in reality, no one had invited her at all. The sound of heels echoed behind them. Joanne entered like she was stepping onto a runway. Her tone was syrupy sweet. "There you are," she said. "Rodney and I were just telling everyone how grateful we are for Grandpa's generosity. Paying off the second home will be such a relief." Claire turned slowly. "Speaking of generosity, remember that time you asked me for $5,000 for a spa retreat? Turns out it was a meeting with a divorce lawyer." Joanne's eyes widened. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Sure. Just like you didn't know Rodney's been suspicious about your calls to your tennis coach." Joanne's hand trembled around her champagne glass. "You wouldn't." Claire smiled. "Not yet. Let's focus on celebrating Grandpa for now." A voice cut through the tension. "If everyone could gather in the living room, we're ready to begin." It was James Baldwin, the family lawyer, briefcase in hand, glasses low on his nose. Claire lingered for a moment as the others rushed in. Her mother adjusted her pearls. Lydia angled herself near the window for better lighting. Joanne whispered something into Rodney's ear, but he didn't respond. Ava stayed close to Claire. "You ready for this?" she asked. Claire gave a slight nod, patting her purse where the manila envelope Saturday. "I've been ready for 15 years. "Claire," her mother snapped from across the room. "We're waiting." Claire made her way to the living room, taking the same seat she always took. Quiet back corner away from the center. The black sheep seat. She glanced out the bay window. Grandpa's old oak tree stood tall, its leaves rustling softly. Valentine cleared his throat. Before we begin, Mr. Emerson left very specific instructions for how this reading should go. Yes, her mother waved a hand. He always had a thing for protocols. Let's move on. Claire exchanged a glance with James. He gave her a subtle nod. He remembered everything too. The ignored birthdays, the skipped holidays, the years she'd been treated like a mistake. He opened his briefcase. Let's begin. Lydia already had her phone out, angling for the perfect story to post online. Joanne crossed her legs and straightened her back, practically glowing. Their mother clutched her embroidered handkerchief in dramatic anticipation. Claire reached into her purse and touched the envelope. To my family, James read, whom I've watched play their roles so well all these years. Claire leaned back listening. The show had started. Ava nudged her and whispered, "Remember when your mom tried to set you up with that guy from the real estate family?" Claire almost laughed. Thomas. The arranged proposal with the bonus trust fund. Right. He was willing to propose in 6 months if you just stopped being so artistic. Claire's voice turned cold. And Mom called my web design business a hobby. James cleared his throat again. Shall we continue? Any objections before we proceed? James asked, glancing toward Claire. None from me, Claire said with a smile. Lydia lowered her phone long enough to lean toward Joanne and whisper, "At least she looks decent for once." Girls, their mother warned, though it sounded more amused than concerned. Before we go further, James said, Mr. Emerson requested all recording devices be turned off and placed on the table. Lydia protested. But this is just for my followers. They love our family moments. I must insist, James said firmly. No phones. One by one, phones clattered onto the mahogany table. Ava caught Claire's eye. She gave the tiniest nod. Plan in motion. While everyone waited, Joanne leaned toward Claire. Have you heard about the updates we're planning for the summer house? Rodney's got amazing ideas for the waterfront. Fascinating, Claire replied. Almost as fascinating as your late-night calls to your tennis coach last month. Rodney's head shot up. Joanne's smile disappeared. I don't know what you're suggesting, she said. No. Should we check your phone records? Claire, her mother cut in. Let's not turn this into one of your dramas. You're right, Claire replied, sipping her champagne. Let's focus on Grandpa. James finished sorting the documents. The room fell silent except for the soft ticking of Grandpa's favorite clock. Before I read the will, James said, Mr. Emerson requested a recording be played. Her mother frowned. That wasn't in the pre-briefing. Nevertheless, it was his final request. James pressed play on a small recorder. Grandpa Harold's voice filled the room, strong and clear despite the illness that had claimed him. To my family gathered today, I've watched you all carefully, he began. How you act, how you present yourselves, and what you do when no one's looking. Lydia squirmed. Joanne held Rodney's hand. He didn't squeeze back. I've seen the masks you wear. And who removes them when it matters, Grandpa continued. Her mother crossed her arms, face tight. James, this isn't necessary. It's what Mr. Emerson wanted. To those who valued appearances over honesty, who chose performance over truth, Grandpa said, you've already received your inheritance in the lives you chose. The recording ended with a quiet click. The silence that followed was heavy. Claire could feel every eye turning toward her. Her mother forced a laugh. He always was dramatic. Shall we continue with the real will now? Of course, James said. Though I should mention, he made a few changes in his final week. Joanne's voice rose. What changes? All in good time, James replied, putting on his glasses. Claire touched the envelope in her bag once more. Almost time. To my daughter Joanne, James began, I leave the sum of $75,000. Joanne beamed. See, she whispered to Rodney. To my daughter Lydia, James continued, I also leave $75,000. Lydia wiped her dry eyes with her silk handkerchief, trying to look overwhelmed. Oh, Daddy would have wanted this, she said loudly. Their mother gave her a proud smile. Then turned to Claire, smirking slightly. And the remaining balance of the estate, James continued, totaling $225,000. The room fell completely silent. Goes to my granddaughter Claire. Joanne's champagne glass shattered in her hand. Lydia froze mid-blink. Their mother shot to her feet. There must be some mistake. No mistake, James said calmly, holding up a signed letter. To my dear Claire, he read, who never needed to pretend. Who gave without expecting repayment. Who kept her dignity when selling out would have been easier. You are my true heir in every way that counts. This is insane. Lydia cried. She doesn't even show up to family events. I wasn't invited, Claire said calmly. There's a difference. Their mother's voice trembled. James, this can't be legal. He was confused at the end. I have 3 separate evaluations confirming his mental clarity, James replied. And video documentation of him signing the final version. Joanne gasped. You recorded him? He recorded himself, James clarified. Rodney leaned forward. What kind of recordings? The kind you might want to see, Claire said, opening her purse. Would you like to see the receipts? Don't you dare, Joanne snapped. Claire pulled out the manila envelope. Why not? We're being honest now, right? Rodney looked from Claire to Joanne. What receipts? Let's start with Christmas 2018, Claire said, sliding out a set of documents. Joanne borrowed $40,000. Told you it was for a spa weekend. But funny thing, there was a new casino opening that weekend in Atlantic City. Rodney grabbed the papers, his jaw tightening. You said it was from your trust fund. Rodney, I can explain, Joanne stammered. He stood. Like you explained the tennis coach? The room went still. Lydia reached for her phone, but Ava gently pulled it away. No more filters, Ava said. Claire turned to Lydia next. Remember that emergency loan for medical bills last spring? Lydia's face lost all color. Don't. Turns out those bills were actually payments to a private investigator. One hired to follow Randolph. You promised, Lydia whispered. No. You assumed, Claire replied. Just like you assumed Grandpa didn't notice how you all treated me. Their mother slammed her hand on the table. That's enough. Claire tapped her phone. A recording played. Her mother's voice. Vanessa's just not meant for our kind of life. Best to keep her at a distance. Her mother's eyes widened in horror. Where did you get that? Same place I got everything else, Claire replied. By listening. By remembering. By keeping records when no one thought I was worth noticing. She handed personalized folders to everyone in the room. To you, Joan, 5 years of values you swore you'd pay back next month. To you, Lydia. The texts where you excluded me from your kids' birthdays right after asking me for money to fund them. Ava stood beside her now. You kept everything, she whispered. Claire nodded. Everything. Because I knew one day I'd need the truth. Claire turned toward her mother, holding up a different folder. And this one? This is our conversation from 2 years ago. When you told the country club board I shouldn't be allowed to join, because I didn't fit the family image. Her mother's hands trembled as she flipped through the papers. This will destroy us. No, Claire said calmly. This will expose you. There's a difference. Rodney stood abruptly. His car keys jingled in his hand. I need air. Rodney, wait, Joan called after him. But the front door slammed shut. Lydia started texting frantically, likely trying to warn Randolph about the storm heading his way. You had no right, Lydia hissed. I had every right, Claire replied. You just never thought I'd use it. Claire took a slow breath and faced her family. All I ever wanted was to be treated like I mattered. To be seen. Instead, I was treated like a mistake. Cut out of dinners, vacations, even Grandpa's hospital admission. You weren't ready to say goodbye, her mother snapped. No. You weren't ready for anyone to see the truth, Claire said. She reached into her bag and pulled out one final envelope. Like when you forged my signature on the family trust documents 10 years ago. The room froze. Joanne blinked. Wait. What documents? Claire placed them on the table. The ones that gave my entire share to you and Lydia without my knowledge. Grandpa found them last year. James lifted the papers. They've been authenticated. The signature was forged. That's a lie, her mother whispered. The handwriting analysis says otherwise, James replied. It's fraud. Julius knew. That's when he started making changes. Madison's voice was barely audible. That's criminal. Yes, Claire said. It is. Her mother collapsed into her chair, the pearls around her neck clicking together like tiny cuffs. You wouldn't press charges, she said. We're still family. Claire tilted her head. Were we family when you sold my future for a wedding reception? When you told people I was living in Europe just to cover up that you'd cut me off? Lydia's phone buzzed. She glanced down then gasped. The country club is calling an emergency meeting about our membership. Your carefully curated world is crumbling, Claire said. And now you get to feel what I felt for years, being on the outside looking in. Her mother looked desperate. Please, don't ruin everything we've built. You mean the lies? Claire asked. The polished smiles, the fake generosity, the exclusion masked as tradition? I was just trying to protect our image, her mother whispered. Exactly. Claire's eyes flashed. You cared more about what strangers thought than about your own daughter. Madison walked to Claire's side. I quit, she said. Lydia, you'll need someone else to organize your fake charity events. The old grandfather clock struck again. The chimes echoed through the silence like a verdict. Claire turned toward the window. Outside more cars were pulling in. Reporters. She smiled. Perfect timing. Joanne's voice cracked. What happens now? Claire looked at her, steady and clear. Now you get to experience being ignored, judged, whispered about, just like I did. Only this time you earned it. Her mother stepped forward. Whatever you want. Money, a board position, a seat at the table, just tell me. We can fix this. I don't want your table, Claire replied. I wanted to be seen. The real me, not the disappointment you imagined. A call came through. Claire answered. It was Joanna. The divorce is final, Joanna said coldly. Rodney got everything. Are you happy now? Happiness was never the goal, Claire answered. Truth was. Joanna scoffed. Truth cost us everything. No, Claire said, hanging up. Lies did. As Claire hung up the call, another car pulled into the driveway. James stepped out holding a medium-sized box in both hands. Found this in Mr. Emerson's private safe, he said as he entered. He opened it to reveal dozens of photographs. Old prints, postcards, sketches. All of Claire. Her mother gasped softly. I've never seen these. Because they weren't meant for show, Claire replied. They were real. Grandpa kept everything I sent him. From my first art project to photos from my tiny apartment. James nodded. He said it reminded him of what legacy really means. Madison picked up one of the photos. Claire at an art show, her clothes messy with paint, her face glowing with joy. You look happy here. I was. Because I was allowed to be me. There's more, James said. Instructions about the foundation. Claire, he wanted you to lead it, and to focus on people who've been silenced or made to feel small. I'd like to run the outreach program, Madison said gently. Lydia scoffed. Of course you would. You're just trying to stay relevant. No, Madison replied firmly. I'm just done pretending. Claire turned to her mother, who was now holding one of the photos. You always said, keep your receipts. Well, thank you for the lesson. Outside, a delivery van arrived. Through the window, Claire saw workers unloading Grandpa's grandfather clock. Where should we place this? The driver asked. Claire smiled. Entrance hall of the new women's shelter. Right where time starts again. The movers returned for the last load of items. One worker held up the family portrait. What do we do with this? He asked. Donate it to the Historical Society, Claire said. They're great at preserving facades. Her mother flinched but said nothing. Lydia sat on the stairs, staring at her phone. My influencer deals, they're all canceling. No one wants to be associated with this. Claire didn't even blink. Guess truth isn't very on brand. Joan looked up. Is there any way we can make this right? I already told the truth, Claire replied. Whether you grow from it or not is up to you. Her phone buzzed with a message from the women's shelter. A photo of the grandfather clock installed, sunlight hitting it just right. Perfect timing, it read. Reporters lined the front gates. James passed Claire a folder. The final press release. Julius's letter to the public is included. I've already turned off notifications, Claire said. Let the truth speak for itself. Madison stood beside her. Did you finish the manuscript? Claire nodded. Goes to print next week. Her mother's voice cracked. You're really going to publish it all? No, Claire said. Not all. Just enough to help others like me find their voices. What's the title? Joanne asked, barely above a whisper. Claire looked out the window, the mansion shrinking behind them. The daughter they didn't see coming, she answered. As they reached the gate, Claire turned back one last time. Mom, she said gently. You once told me family always sticks together. But sticking together doesn't mean staying silent. Her mother blinked rapidly. I thought I was protecting you. You were protecting your image, Claire replied. She opened the car door. This house was built on lies. But I'm building something real. Grandpa knew that. That's why he left it to me. Inside the car, Madison handed her a tablet. Foundation inbox has over 300 messages already. Artists, educators, survivors. You started something. No, Claire said, watching the mansion disappear behind them. Grandpa started something. I just made sure it couldn't be ignored. The car drove away from the estate, its legacy unraveling behind them like ribbon coming loose. Claire sat quietly, the manila envelope now empty, the truth fully revealed. No more hiding. No more pretending. She posted one final message before deleting her account. They polished masks. I kept receipts. Guess which one lasted longer? Messages flooded in. People sharing their own stories of being dismissed, overlooked, silenced. Claire smiled. She didn't need her family's approval anymore. She had something far more powerful. Her voice, her truth, and a legacy of honesty that couldn't be buried under champagne toasts and country club lies. As the sunset lit up the sky, Madison leaned over and whispered, "Where to next?" Claire smiled. "Anywhere. As long as it's forward." Moral lesson. Telling the truth may cost you comfort, but hiding it will cost you everything. Authenticity, no matter how inconvenient, outlasts the prettiest lies. Remember to hit the like button, comment and subscribe to this channel for more of this.